The future is coming at us in 3D, but no need to get out those wacky glasses. I'm talking 3D printing, and it's popping up everywhere.
3D printing technologies.
3D technology.
That is 3D printing.
It's the process of making three-dimensional solid objects from a digital file. First, you create a virtual design of the object you want to 3D print. Let's take me, for example. This virtual design becomes a virtual blueprint. Software turns it into code that instructs the printer to build the layers that form the actual model. Sort of like baking a cake. But instead of flour and sugar, those layers can be liquid, powder, paper, or sheet material. And they're super thin, usually less than 0.1 millimeters. These layers are automatically fused together as they're printed to create the final product. Ta-da! The concept is nothing new. It goes back to the 80s when engineer and inventor Chuck Hull patented something called stereolithography. He used a resin that solidified when it encountered UV light from a laser, creating 3D objects. Back then, that was totally tubular, to borrow a phrase from the 80s, but 3D printing has come a long way, baby. Now you can make everything from prosthetic limbs, plain parts, to jewelry and clothing. And still in development, artificial bladders, ears, noses, even blood vessels. And one day, astronauts could be printing their own freeze-dried space snacks. 3D printers are even being used to print printer parts. You know, it's... So what's the future of 3D printing? It might mean forgoing the pharmacy and printing your pills from home using algorithms prescribed by a doctor, who could eventually print 3D models of your cells to test potentially life-saving therapies for diseases like cancer. As 3D printing has gotten bigger and bigger, the printers have gotten smaller and more affordable, from around $20,000 just a few years ago to just over $1,000 today. That's the good news, but there's some bad news too. People are making 3D guns and bullets, and all that plastic, not so good for the environment. So policymakers and scientists have some work to do to make sure the technology doesn't fall into the wrong hands.
We don't want to make it easy for terrorists and criminals to bring guns past metal detectors onto our planes and into secure environments.
But globally, the possibilities for good are limitless. So when it comes to 3D printers and the role they may be playing,
to infinity and beyond,
at least you can say, now I get it.